Thank you, Mr. for your testimony here. I wish some of our colleagues on the other side were this excited when we were putting 2 wars on a credit card and having a prescription drug bill that wasn't paid for. I don't remember this level of excitement about deficit reduction and about balancing our budget. So, Mr. Science, would you say that the Republican budget is an austerity budget? The deep cuts?
Very deep cuts. We've been talking a little bit about the sequester, just to benchmark. On the domestic side, the Republican budget cuts domestic programs by 20%. That's 3 times deeper.
Okay, so we're in agreement it's an austerity budget. I think most people would say that. I think probably many on the other side would say that. How are the austerity budgets? I know you're working on the American budget full time. What are the austerity budgets doing in Europe right now? How are they playing out?
You are taking me beyond my area of focus.
I have a feeling you pay attention a little bit.
But I think it's clear that the austerity budgets are not performing well. We believe it's important to have responsible deficit reduction phase in across time, achieve the kind of results that we've talked about, and at the same time invest in jobs, invest in infrastructure. And that's the right way to grow our economy and put people back to work.
I know you mentioned the research and development, some of these public-private partnerships. My district has benefited from the Innovation Institute for Additive Manufacturing in downtown Youngstown, Ohio. And it's a great partnership of public money from defense, energy, commerce, as well as private sector money from companies like Boeing and Lockheed to help spur innovation and additive manufacturing. How does this budget continue to try to promote initiatives like that in the 15 other institutes that the President wants to get up and running, and other initiatives like that that will lead to economic growth in older industrial areas like mine?
I think the Youngstown is a great example, and building off of that, the budget proposes to do 15 more at a cost of about $1 billion. But again, that investment is directly offset. I think we all would agree that those types of investments are good for the economy. We've created 500,000 or so manufacturing jobs across the last few years. We need to create more, bring more jobs home, and each of these investments are directly offset so they do not add a dime to the deficit.
Mm-hmm. And investments in National Science Foundation and NIH, what do those look like in this budget?
Well, those are on the discretionary side, so they all fit under the BCA cap. But the President has prioritized investment in R&D, and domestic R&D is up 9% under the President's budget. So even with the tight discretionary caps, the President has prioritized R&D, and there's a 9% increase.
And we're very thankful for that, because I think when the real question is, what's the roadmap for America in the future? And part of this roadmap needs to include the investments that are in sectors of the economy that are going to blossom in the next decade or two. We don't always know what those are, and I think when you say we're going to balance the budget in 10 years and somehow that's going to just turn the economy around, without looking at the history of our country and the big investments that we've always made, whether it was infrastructure, the space program, National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health, investments in education, community colleges, Pell Grants, student loans, bringing those rates down, putting more money in people's pockets. This is a recipe that's been very successful in the United States. And although I don't agree with everything that is in the President's budget, and we'll have plenty of time to discuss what those issues are, I want to say thank you for being, in my estimation, a voice of reason and having a vision for what America needs to be like in the next decade. We cannot cut our way to prosperity. And we've seen, as I mentioned earlier, we've seen a lot of our friends on the other side get very excited. And the first question from my one friend from California was, do deficits matter? If Dick Cheney was sitting in your seat, he would have had a different answer than you. Dick Cheney said deficits don't matter, and that was the prevailing wisdom coming out of the Republican Party for the last, well, the first 8 years of the new decade. So we'll press you on the issues that we don't agree with, but I want to say thank you for making these long-term investments that will position the United States to be competitive in an increasingly competitive global economy.